Welcome to the Care Clinic Pod. I'm Emma, and this is Jones.
Hey everyone, welcome back. We like to dig deep on this show, and today we're really diving into a condition that honestly doesn't get talked about enough, fibromyalgia.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of times people, they hear fibromyalgia and they think, oh, pain, right.
Right.
But it's so much more than that. And it really impacts people's lives in ways that I think a lot of folks don't fully grasp. We're really excited to kind of pull back the curtain on this one, explore what it's truly like to live with fibromyalgia, and really look at like what helps. We got a ton of research to dig through, some medical articles, and even some surprising connections that I think are really going to make you rethink what you thought you knew.
Yeah, it's funny you should use the word mystery because I think a lot of times both patients and doctors feel like they're kind of piecing together this puzzle.
No, so
It's one of those things that's often misdiagnosed, often misunderstood, and that can be so incredibly frustrating if you're the one, living with this.
absolutely. And I think I've heard from so many people who've said, I went to the doctor and I felt like I wasn't being heard. I felt like, they were just dismissing it. It's like, oh, it's all in your head. And that's got to be just like the most frustrating experience. So from a medical standpoint, what makes fibromyalgia so difficult to kind of pin down?
That is the million-dollar question.
Mhm.
And I think researchers are still trying to figure that out. It's not like you can just do one blood test or get a scan and there's your answer, right? We rely a lot on, what a doctor sees during an exam, the clinical signs, and then a lot of it comes down to what the patient's actually experiencing, like their symptoms. And sometimes it's more about ruling other things OUT.
Oh, wow.
So it's like a process of elimination on top of everything else.
Like the process of elimination. And then you're also dealing with the fact that, you said it yourself, it's not just pain, it's all of these other things,
Oh,
right?
absolutely.
The fatigue, the sleep issues. We hear brain fog thrown around a lot.
Yeah.
So before we even go further down this road, can you explain like what is brain fog? Because I think for people who haven't experienced it, it might sound kind of vague.
Yeah, it does, doesn't it? It's like, oh, my brain's foggy. But imagine this. You're trying to have a conversation, right? And the words just, they're not coming to you.
Oh, I hate that.
You walk into a room and you forget why you even went in there in the first place.
Yeah.
It's that feeling of like your brain's moving in slow motion.
Yeah.
And it can be so frustrating,
And isolating, I would imagine, too, because if people don't understand.
Oh, 100%. And especially if you're used to being, sharp and on top of things,
Yeah.
it can be a real struggle.
And it makes you realize this isn't just a physical thing, right?
Right.
This is your brain. This is mental. This is emotional. We actually pulled something from an article that said the fatigue associated with fibromyalgia is kind of this all-encompassing exhaustion. Like, it's not just that you're tired, it's that you're drained.
Yeah, deep, isn't it?
Deep, yeah.
It's like this exhaustion that just seeps into every part of your life. It makes even the smallest tasks feel like climbing a mountain.
Absolutely. And so when you think about that, on top of dealing with potential chronic pain, maybe you're not sleeping well because of it.
Yeah.
It's no wonder this impacts people's mental health, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you're constantly battling these invisible symptoms. You might feel like you're not being heard or understood. It's a recipe for like anxiety, depression.
Oh, absolutely. And then that sense of hopelessness on top of everything else.
Exactly.
It's really tough to break free from.
Yeah, it really makes you realize that our bodies and minds are not separate.
Right.
It's all connected.
Completely interconnected.
So listeners, I want to hear from you. Have you felt this way? Have you experienced that feeling of not being understood when you try to describe your fibromyalgia symptoms? We want to hear about it.
It really is all connected. And, I think that's what makes managing fibromyalgia so complex.
Yeah.
Because it's not just about, oh, let's fix this one thing, right?
Right. Exactly. And that actually is a perfect segue because we wanted to talk about a medication that's been getting some attention as a potential treatment option for fibromyalgia, Baclofen.
Oh, interesting.
Now, you might be thinking, wait a minute, isn't Baclofen a muscle relaxant?
Yeah, that's right.
It is.
That's what it's traditionally been used for.
Yeah, but it's showing some real promise for fibromyalgia symptoms too. So bear with us here, folks, because this is where it gets interesting.
I love these kind of like unexpected connections.
Me too.
Where you're like, wait, what? That's used for that, but it also helps with this. It's fascinating.
It is. So to really understand why this is even being considered, we need to get a little bit sciencey here, but we're going to keep it real, I promise.
Okay.
So Baclofen, it works by interacting with something called GABA receptors.
Yeah.
And this is where I'm like,
Okay.
I need a little help.
Yeah, let's break it down.
Break it down for us.
So GABA, it's like your brain's natural chill pill. It's a neurotransmitter, and what it does is it helps calm things down in your nervous system.
Okay, got it.
It's like hitting the brakes a little bit.
Like slowing things down.
Exactly. And Baclofen basically comes in and it's like, hey, GABA, you're doing a great job. Let me just turn up the volume on that a little bit.
Oh, I like that.
It amplifies those effects.
So it's like boosting the calming signal.
Exactly. Now, here's where it gets really interesting for fibromyalgia.
Okay.
One of the prevailing theories is that in fibromyalgia, the nervous system is kind of stuck in overdrive.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Yeah, it's like it's misinterpreting signals, right? Amplifying pain sensations.
Like your system's on high alert all the time.
Exactly. Like it's constantly going on.
Yeah.
And that's exhausting in and of itself, even before we get to the actual fatigue that comes with fibromyalgia, right?
Right. Absolutely.
So Baclofen comes in and it's like, hey, nervous system, let's just dial it back a notch.
Okay.
Brings things back to a more manageable level.
So it's helping to kind of soothe those, like, maybe overactive pain signals.
Yeah, it's inhibiting those pain signals in the spinal cord.
Got it.
So the potential there is that it can reduce the intensity of the pain, and it can also help with that feeling of just being completely wiped out, you know?
Yeah, that constant fatigue.
Exactly.
So did the studies actually show, like, were people noticing a difference? Give us the deets.
They were. There was one study in particular that was really interesting. It showed that patients who were taking Baclofen, on average, they had a 30% reduction in pain.
That's significant.
That's huge, especially when you're talking about chronic pain,
Yeah,
right?
absolutely.
And it wasn't just about pain reduction either. People were reporting having more energy.
Oh, wow. Which is, let's be real, if you're dealing with fatigue all the time.
Oh my gosh, game changer.
Huge. That's major.
So, you know, it's not a magic bullet by any means, but it's showing some real promise.
Of course, with anything, right? We always have to talk about potential side effects.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, for sure.
So what are we looking at with Baclofen? What do people need to know?
The most common ones that pop up are drowsiness, dizziness, sometimes headaches.
Okay, so not without its downsides.
Right.
What should people kind of keep in mind, if they're thinking about maybe exploring this as an option?
I think the biggest thing to remember is everyone's different.
Right, for sure.
What works amazingly well for one person might not do anything for somebody else.
Right, or the side effects might be more pronounced.
Exactly. So talking to your doctor is key.
Yes.
They can help you weigh those pros and cons and figure out if it's even a good fit for you.
It's all about that personalized approach, which frankly, with fibromyalgia seems even more important given, how differently it can manifest from person to person.
Absolutely.
But here's the thing, medication, it's a tool.
It's a tool.
It's not the whole picture, right?
Exactly.
And some of the most powerful things that people can do to kind of manage their fibromyalgia actually have nothing to do with medication at all.
I couldn't agree more. Yeah. It's about addressing the whole person, not just the symptoms, right?
So talk to us about this holistic approach.
Okay.
What are we talking about here?
So think of it this way. Medication might be able to quiet down those overactive pain signals that we were talking about.
Right.
But what if we could also give your body the resources it needs to just function better overall?
Oh, I like that. Okay.
That's where lifestyle modifications come in.
Okay. So what kind of resources are we talking about? Give us the details. What should people be thinking about?
Well, I think it all starts with the foundation, which is nutrition.
Ooh, okay. Food.
Food, right. You know what they say? You are what you eat.
So true.
And that's especially true for folks with fibromyalgia.
Okay.
There's more and more research showing that what you put on your plate can either fight inflammation in your body or it can actually make it worse.
So what are some of those things that are going to help fight inflammation?
Think about colorful fruits and vegetables packed with antioxidants, those good fats, salmon, avocados, nuts.
Okay.
And then things that are really good for your gut.
Okay.
So yogurt with live cultures, sauerkraut, kimchi, all those fermented foods.
I love those.
Yeah. And then on the flip side, it's being mindful of, processed foods, refined sugars, anything that, tends to cause inflammation in your body.
Right. So kind of paying attention to how you feel after you eat certain things.
Exactly. It might take a little detective work, but it can make a world of difference.
Yeah. I love that.
Because everyone's triggers are a little bit different, right?
Totally. It's like your own personal roadmap.
Exactly.
Speaking of personalized sleep,
Mm-hmm.
we all need it, but especially, when we're talking about something like fibromyalgia, right?
Oh, sleep is crucial.
So
If
important.
you're not getting those good Z's, it can amplify your pain. It can make the fatigue so much worse.
Right. And we know that sleep issues are already common with this, right?
Oh, absolutely.
So we've got to talk sleep hygiene.
Yeah.
What are we doing here to create that perfect sleep sanctuary? Give us the sleep doctor's orders. What are some of those things that people can do? Because like I said, I think we all know we should be doing them, but it's easier said than done.
Right. It's about putting it into practice.
It is.
So think about consistency, right?
Okay.
Our bodies like routine, they thrive on it.
That's true.
So as much as possible, try to go to bed and wake up around the same time each day.
Oh, even on the weekends.
Even on the weekends, yeah, no, it's tough.
It is tough.
But it helps regulate your body's natural sleep-wake cycle, which makes you more likely to fall asleep easier and then wake up feeling more refreshed.
Okay.
Instead of that kind of like groggy, hit the snooze button 5 times feeling, right?
Okay. Yeah. I am so guilty of that.
We've all been there.
Yeah. What about though? Because sometimes for me, it's not even that. It's that I can't turn off my brain.
Oh, the racing thoughts?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I hear that. And that's where I think your sleep environment can really make a difference.
Mm.
Think about it, cool, dark, quiet room.
Okay.
Maybe you need blackout curtains, earplugs, a white noise machine.
Ooh, I love white noise.
Yeah, anything to kind of minimize those distractions.
Right. Block it all out.
Exactly. And then this might seem small, but honestly, a good supportive mattress and pillows can be game changers.
Oh, that's so true. I'm a big believer in that.
Because if you're uncomfortable, you're not going to sleep well, right?
No, it's so true.
Yeah.
What about though when it's not even your brain, but it's actual pain that's keeping you up at night?
I know, and that's really common with fibromyalgia.
Yeah.
So that's where I think stress reduction techniques can be so valuable.
Okay.
You know, mindfulness, things like meditation, even just some deep breathing exercises, those can really help calm your nervous system, quiet those racing thoughts,
Yeah.
and then even some gentle movement.
Okay.
Maybe light stretching or some yoga before bed can work wonders for releasing tension and kind of prepping your body for sleep.
So we're not talking intense workouts here. We're talking like chill, relaxing.
Exactly. Yeah, gentle is key here.
Okay. Got it.
In fact, when we think about exercise and fibromyalgia in general, it's all about finding that sweet spot.
Okay.
You know, you want something that gets you moving, but you don't want to overdo it.
Right. You don't want to push it too far
Exactly.
because that can make everything worse.
Oh, absolutely. So things like walking are fantastic.
Right.
Low impact, you can do it anywhere. It's easy to adjust the intensity.
Right.
Swimming's another great one because the water supporting your joint
Oh, that makes sense.
provides that gentle resistance. And don't underestimate stretching.
Yeah. That's so important for flexibility.
So good for easing that muscle stiffness. Yeah.
I love that you emphasized gentle because I think it's really easy to fall into that trap of like, oh, I need to push myself, got to get those endorphins, you know?
Yeah.
But with this, it's like, no, you really got to listen to your body.
It's about working with your body, not against it.
Yes. Okay. So we've got nutrition, we've got sleep, we've got movement. What else are we missing in this holistic approach puzzle?
The last piece, and I think it's a really important one, is connection.
Okay.
Fibromyalgia can be so isolating.
Yeah, I can see that.
You know, you're dealing with the pain, the fatigue. Maybe you're not feeling understood by the people around you.
Yeah.
It can really take a toll on your mental and emotional well-being. So having that strong support network is huge.
It's like you were saying earlier about not feeling heard or seen.
Exactly.
It's like having those people where you don't have to fight to be heard or seen.
Absolutely.
They just get it.
Yeah. And, you know, sometimes that starts with just educating your loved ones about what you're going through.
Okay.
Share resources, share articles, even just having open and honest conversations can really help them understand. Because a lot of times, like we said, it's invisible, right? People can't see it, so they don't always understand.
Right. It's about building that empathy.
Exactly. And then beyond your immediate circle, think about support groups, whether that's online or in person.
Yeah.
Connecting with other people who just get it.
Yeah, that shared experience.
Exactly, because you're not alone in this.
That feeling of, okay, I'm not the only one.
Exactly. And you deserve to have that community, that support, both online and offline.
I love that. Okay, so before we wrap up this deep dive,
Yeah.
we have got to talk about the tech
Oh, yes.
because there's some really cool stuff out there that can be super helpful for people who are, you know, trying to manage their fibromyalgia.
For sure. Yeah. I mean, think about wearable technology.
Oh, yeah, the wearables.
It's amazing. You can track your pain levels, your sleep patterns, your activity levels all in one place.
It's like data about your own body.
Right. And then you can start to see, oh, what are my triggers? What makes me feel better?
Yeah,
It's like having a little health detective right there on your wrist.
I love that. Okay, and then we've got apps.
Oh, the apps. Yeah.
So many apps for everything these days. Are there any specifically for fibromyalgia?
Absolutely. There are apps for tracking symptoms, for managing your meds, for mindfulness, for finding exercises that work for you, even for connecting with support groups.
Oh, wow. That's awesome.
It's amazing. It's like having all of these tools right there at your fingertips.
Yeah, it puts so much more like control, I think, in people's hands, which is great.
Absolutely. Yeah. You're empowered to kind of manage your health in a whole new way.
I love it. Well, wow, we covered a lot in this deep dive.
We did.
Everything from like how complicated the diagnosis can be, right?
Right.
To talking about medication like Baclofen, the holistic approaches, and then the tech. And I think what's so clear is that, there's no one size fits all
Absolutely not.
when it comes to managing fibromyalgia.
It's a journey.
It's so personal.
It is. And, working with your healthcare providers is key.
Yes, 100%.
Finding a team that listens to you,
Yes,
that takes you seriously because you deserve that.
absolutely. Well said. And, I think for all of you listening out there, as you're navigating this, remember, knowledge is power.
It really is.
So the more you know, the more you can advocate for yourself, find those people, find those resources that are going to support you on this journey.
Absolutely.
And until next time, keep exploring.
Learn